Lab-grown meat has a big problem very few people know about. In spite of advances in making laboratory-cultured meat products taste like the real deal, we're yet to see a single factory pumping chicken nuggets out of a vat. That might not be such a bad thing, according to a recent study by researchers from University of California, Davis, UCD, and the University of California, Holtville. They warn current production methods of lab-grown meat could end up being way worse for the environment than beef farming, despite being touted as a sustainable alternative. Their life cycle assessment of current meat growing processes, which has yet to be peer-reviewed, found cultured meat products could emit between 4 to 25 times more carbon dioxide per kilogram than regular beef, and all its hidden costs depending on the techniques used. This is an important conclusion given that investment dollars have specifically been allocated to this sector with the thesis that this product will be more environmentally friendly than beef, UCD food scientist Derek Risner and colleagues write in their paper. Risner elaborates, he said, "My concern would just be scaling up this too quickly and doing something harmful for the environment. Cultured meat is grown from non-specific animal cells coaxed into forming tissue we'd be happy to eat, such as fats, muscle, and connective tissues, while cultured meat uses less land than the herds of cattle or flocks of sheep, not to mention less water and antibiotics. Environmental costs of the highly specific nutrients required to grow the product rapidly add up. These include running laboratories to extract growth factors from animal serums, as well as growing crops for sugars and vitamins. And then there's the energy required to purify all of these broth ingredients into a high standard before they can be fed to the growing meat lumps. So even the meat lumps have to be fed, you see. This energy-intensive extreme level of purification is needed to prevent introducing microbes and bacteria into the culture. Risner told New Scientist, otherwise the animal cells won't grow because the bacteria will multiply much faster. It's not all bad news though. Reducing pharmaceutical grade purification to a food grade standard should drastically reduce the energy requirements. As a result, greenhouse gas emissions from cultivated meat production could drop to a little over a quarter more than typical beef farming. In best case scenarios, it could be a greener option, being 80% better than raising cattle. Yet the most efficient cattle-grown beef systems that already exist today can still outperform this scenario of cultivating food-grade meat, according to the researchers' estimates. It's possible we could reduce its environmental impact in the future, but it will require significant technical advancement to simultaneously increase the performance and decrease the cost of the cell culture media, explains UCD food scientist Edward Spang. And what's more, the researchers' calculations only need the energy cost of making lab-grown meat using current methods, but not the impact of building larger facilities to house large-scale production. Animal cell cultures are a lot harder to grow than bacteria and fungi, as they're far more sensitive to the environment. Unsurprisingly, really, given they evolve to be safely tucked into their own protective layers of a body. This means they require specialized, sterilized, energy-hungry bioreactors to provide the right conditions and protections from these fragile cells. For the fragile cells, the researchers say it would make more sense to invest in increasing the efficiencies of existing livestock farms to limit their environmental footprint, which may provide greater emissions reduction sooner than this fledgling industry of lab-grown meat. Given this assessment, investing in scaling this technology before solving key issues would be counter to the environmental goals which this sector has espoused, Risner and his team conclude. Those improvements better come quick. Overall demand for meat is expected to jump more than 70% by 2050, and livestock farming currently represents about 15% of all current human greenhouse gas emissions, according to the UN Food and Agricultural Organizations. Alas, for those of us who would sorely love a more sustainable meat alternative, it looks like plant proteins are still the most viable option. But if more of us just reduce our meat consumption rather than eliminate it entirely, which is also great for our health, we could still drastically reduce the environmental impact of our flesh-eating habits together. The research can be found in the preprint server BioRxiv, and this is on Science Alert by Tessa Comunduros. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. Please support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.